Back in 1975, I started attending a church. I started on Christmas Eve, and I stayed and attended that church, um, accepted Christ through the teaching of that church, became baptized, was married, and raised my kids within that church. All until about 2010, I would guess. So, what is that? Like 30 plus years? Anyway, so yesterday I went to the funeral of one of the men that was one of the founders of that church. He was one of the pastors. And while I'd not seen him or his wife for a long time, they were an integral part of my life those first few years that I attended that church, which is now a huge church in the area. I went to the funeral, and I will tell you, funerals are funerals, or it was a celebration of life. And a lot of people said, well, why are you going? You have not seen them in years. I went out of respect for who the man and the family was in my life for those beginning years of my walk with Christ. And of course, I saw a lot of people from way back in the day that we all attended the same church and all went, our separate ways over the years, but several I've stayed in touch with. And it was such a blessing. But I will tell you, there was so much from that celebration of life that just reminded me, grabbed me, and will walk with me. One is he was a grandfather of 8, just like I'm a grandmother of 8. And I have often been reminded of how valuable we are in our grandchildren's lives. We need to spend time with them. We need to share Christ with them. We need to let them know how God loves them. That's what this man did, and we heard it from his grandchildren who shared a little bit. What a beautiful thing. Let me just remind you, if you have grandchildren, that is your role, to love them, to spend time with them, to build faith into them, to build Christ into them, and be a role model of that. The other thing, he did end with dementia, and it apparently went rather fast. And he and his wife liked to go for long walks along the beach. And that's when they usually would pray together as they were walking. So one of the last times after he was diagnosed with dementia, and she was aware of what would be happening, they were walking, and the wind was so strong, the waves were so loud that they agreed that they would just walk, but just keep their prayers, because they couldn't hear each other, just pray to themselves, pray silently to themselves. And she immediately began calling out to God, I don't know how to handle this, even though she'd been a hospice nurse. This is now her husband. She's like, Lord, I don't know how to handle this. I don't know what to do with this. I don't know how to move forward. Lord, I don't know. And she said immediately, it's not that God actually audibly spoke to her, but after all the years of listening and praying to God, she knew his voice, even though it wasn't audible. And she said immediately 3 thoughts came to her mind, and she knew that was God speaking into her. The first one was, he will be leaving you. Yes, he's going to die. He will be leaving you. 2, you need to let him go. You need to be okay with letting him go. And 3, you need to remember that I have him. I have him. And that will stick with me my whole life. How powerful that is. And that is true with everybody that we love. They will eventually leave us, or we will leave them. We need to let them go when it's their time. And 3, God has them. So I went back and forth because I really wasn't feeling all that great yesterday. But I thought, well, should I go? And then parking was nearly impossible. I had to ride around for like 10 minutes to find somewhere to park along the street. But you know what? I am so glad I went. What a blessing it was to see people that were significant in my life as a young Christian, and to hear the words that God wanted me to hear. So anyway, just sharing those thoughts. Let me know what you think, and I hope you're having a blessed Sunday.